Look at this letter. This is the kind of trouble I get from my neighbours. They rape and torture me, and then they write me letters like this and complain to the council when I scream. How can you not scream when you are being raped and tortured? They continually rape me psychically. I'm talking about witchcraft, you know. They continually rape and torture me with witchcraft. And then this is how they act when I make any noise because I'm being raped and tortured. This comes, I think, from the man downstairs. And he's actually really sus and weird with his daughter. He used to make her giggle a lot, and I could hear it through the floorboards, my floorboards, his ceiling. And then one day I heard her say that it hurts, and he said, if you don't make any noise, it won't hurt. And I haven't heard anything from her since then. Well, that sounds really weird to me. I think maybe I should report that to the authorities, actually. I should have, but you can see why I'm scared of him. Look at this crazy letter. It's horrible. He's been up and banged on the glass on my door before. So hard, I thought it was going to break. I told the police about that. They've spoken to him, but haven't done anything about him. They actually seem to believe him when he says he's scared of me. He apparently told them he was scared of me. Why would a man be scared of me? I'm an older woman. And he is one of the people who's psychically attacking me. He psychically rapes and tortures me himself. He's a really evil little character, a small white man. I've seen him. I know who he is. He tries to hide from me, but I've seen him a couple of times. I know it's him. I recognize his voice. And when he saw me, he said, there she is, don't look, or something like that. I can't quite remember, something like that. He had his daughter with him, and she said she's here, and so she knows what I look like as well. A little girl he has. It's just horrible, really. You know, it's actually a very serious situation that I need to have dealt with, but the only so-called help I get is being dragged off to a mental hospital and drugged. That's all I'd get if I said I wasn't all right. I made a video about some of these psychic attackers turning up in the middle of the night a few weeks ago and knocking on my door in the middle of the night and then going to the place next door. I was absolutely silent, by the way, made no noise that night because fortunately I wasn't being tortured that night. They were raping me, but not as much as usual, and I was trying to get some sleep. So I made a video at night because they knocked on my door in the middle of the night. Maybe I should have videoed them, but I was just really creeped out and didn't want to speak to them. The next day the police came out and asked me if I was all right, but I know what would happen if I said I were not all right. They would just report me to mental health people who are also in on it, by the way. There are loads of these people around now. We're in the last days, you know, and there are loads and loads, the last days of this world. All the Christian prophecies are coming true, and it's just basically the place is full of witches. I mean, witchcraft is everywhere now. It's on the TV a lot. You know, it's on the TV. So, you just can't escape from these people. They're everywhere. It's even in children's books so much. Well, it always has been, really, but people are getting into it now like they never have before. I think because their pop stars are all into it. The pop stars are all doing things that are really like satanic rituals, covering themselves with blood on stage and swinging about covered in blood. It's crazy these days. It's not people singing about being in love anymore. They say things like "Hail Satan," which is very different. So you may ask me, why are they picking on an old woman? Why would they pick on you? It's the quality of the energy they want. If you're a nice person, they pick on you. The nicer you are, the more they want to pick on you. And then you get this kind of horrible abuse when You're distressed by them. You know, they have a system set up to just keep forcing contact with you, to make excuses to attack you, to cause more and more distress. And then they take the energy you produce when you're upset. And the police are part of it too. Loads of people are. If you don't believe me that police can be bad, you should look up the Rotherham child abuse cases. There's a big child abuse scandal in Rotherham, Northern England, and the children say police are involved, even judges and magistrates. You know, this is a very wicked world, unfortunately, and I'm one of its victims. But because I'm psychically aware, I get more trouble, I suppose, really. Though, if you don't necessarily... Before I was really very aware of what's going on psychically, I was upset anyway, and they just used to call me mental. I thought I was just remembering traumatic events and finding the memories uncontrollable. They call that paranoid schizophrenia. If anything, it would be post-traumatic stress disorder. But nobody ever diagnosed that. They had diagnosed everything under the sun, everything else under the sun, which they finally admitted to me, meant they didn't know what to think. And at some point after that, I mentioned that if it was anything, it was post-traumatic stress disorder, because it was me just remembering horrible events in my life and finding them too much to cope with. And they said, oh, maybe it's that, maybe. The one thing that it probably is, they haven't ever called it. Because then they'd have to treat me as sane, I think. And they don't want to do that. They want to call me insane. I don't know why, they really do. I think it may be a part of this, it may be a part of this, this wish to get my energy. That's what it's all about, I think, as far as I can tell. Just wanting to get my energy off me. So they deliberately cause distress. Well, maybe sometimes they want particular energies or particular thoughts or so on. But one way or another, it boils down to them wanting the energy of certain people. They're bad people, and I think they produce different energies to good people. It's just like bad food. You don't want bad food. You know, they're like mold that gets on bread. Mold wants bread to eat, doesn't it? So they're mold on bread or something. They're just like predators or parasites. They're psychic parasites, which I've called them quite often. They're just energy thieves, psychic vampires, psychic attackers, whatever you want to call them. You could call them a dozen different things. Witches, that kind of thing. And I'm aware of them now. I've just been thinking about it and trying to sense what was going on and remembering things and putting two and two together. And I'm now sure that it's basically telepathy then. Telepathy, hypnotism, suggestion to cause intrusion into someone's brain and make them react in a way that releases energy that they then absorb. Or just entering various parts of people's bodies and sapping the energy. Really, like to make themselves well. Maybe like if they have a bad heart, they would parasitize your heart energy. Seriously, and transmit it to themselves. To heal themselves, seriously, they do that. It's like organ theft on a psychic level. Then they do personal things that amount to rape. It's horrible, it's absolutely horrible, but witchcraft isn't taken seriously anymore, so they call the victims mentally ill instead. But do I sound mentally ill? I mean, never mind the subject matter or the fact that I believe it. Why would you call me mentally ill when I'm being perfectly rational? My speech is rational, I'm coherent, I'm making sense as far as my beliefs go. So, you know, I'm not insane. And this video is proof I'm not insane by the way I'm reacting and responding and talking and things. You know, I know it is, but they would just lie anyway. They lie. You know how they brainwash people nowadays and blatantly lie to people openly. You know, in the media, they say, for example, you must keep faith in the authorities So you mustn't criticize the authorities because it's important that people have faith in them. That's just their excuse for not doing themselves. Like there was one year, I think it was 2019, where one single policeman in the entire of the United Kingdom got found guilty of an offence from about 200,000 complaints against the police. They don't do themselves. They are bad people. And it's bad people who do things like witchcraft. It's bad people who are in the Freemasons, which is witchcraft. And the Duke, the richest Duke in the United Kingdom is a Mason. The Queen is a Freemason. We're ruled by witches. We're ruled by them. And they want our energy. And you can bet that the police, who are also in on it, are not going to go against their high witches to help some little old lady in a council flat. So I just have to suffer all this. But it was scary getting this letter for me. I mean, the guy's nuts. Look at the amount of energy and craziness in this all caps letter. Just like blaring at me. He's scary, not me. I'm scared. They do horrible things like using my energy for sex. At times when I feel like I'm being interfered with, when I don't feel right downstairs, then suddenly after a while, like half an hour or something, or 20 minutes or something, whatever, the people downstairs will sound like they're, doing something downstairs. And then the abuse stops. I feel more comfortable after they've finished. It's like they're using me all the way through. They're using me. They don't have any energy of their own. They have different energies that they can't use or aren't useful or something. I don't know. Maybe they give their soul up to Satan and after that they can't do anything and have to get energy off other people or something. Some people even think they're robots from thousands of years ago that have wiped out human history and now pretend to be human. You know, there are robots that are very humanoid now. So basically, this is the horrible kind of thing I put up with. This horrible letter here. Put it on pause and read it. How would you feel getting that from someone? Imagine you're being raped and tortured by someone psychically, and then you get a horrible letter like that. This is the kind of thing I get from people. When I start feeling better and happier, when I start regaining my own energy and repossessing myself, and feeling happier, they get annoyed, especially if it's not just momentary, like a few minutes or a few hours or something. If it starts being like a few days, they really crave my energy, can't do without it, and start missing it a lot. And that's when they'll do something like give me a horrible letter, or the police will come round and say I've been disturbing the neighbours, or ask me if I'm all right and tell me I'm mentally ill and I should go and see a doctor or something like that. This is when I get trouble. This is when I get assaulted in the street. I think it's because I've got too much energy and they think you can't have that energy. I want it. You're supposed to give that to your predators or parasites. And then they assault me. And when I defend myself and get the police, I'm the one who gets charged. I've said that to psychiatrists, and they say, you're imagining it, you're mentally ill, and you've got to take these drugs. They're involved. So many people are involved. And they surround you. They surround their victims. And it's like farming. You have to tend your farm. You have to weed and water the crops and that. And they take care of their victims in a nasty way. They farm their victims by continually depleting their energy and victimizing them and so on. And you end up a tired old wreck from a lifetime of trauma and trials. You know, in the end, you can end up very religious like me because you rely on God as your only prop, your only savior, your only help. You know, and what they really are doing is farming you and victimizing you and keeping you depleted of energy so they can continually have you available. Just like you need food every day, they maybe even need my energy every day. Either they want it or they need it. And if they need it, you can believe they would fight for it, because when you need something, you fight for it. You know, people fight over food, they fight over water, they fight over jobs and money. You know, people fight over things that they need. So if they need my energy, I guess that's why they attack me and falsely imprison me and just generally make my life horrible so that they can keep me accessible, keep me producing energy, worried and concerned and focused on bad things and bad people, which I think creates a link with them. When you think about someone, I think you link up with them. Even if you don't know it, you link up psychologically. And they want you to think of bad people. So there's a continual siphoning off of energy to the people you're thinking about. You know, the police particularly want energy because they need a lot of energy to do their job, to cope with people. So I'm probably not really as tired and old as I look. I'm probably by nature quite an energized, energetic person, but I've just been continually siphoned off of all my life. And this is called mental illness when you say something about it. When you talk about it, they call you mentally ill and drug you. And the drugs are designed to create a mental state that makes you less resistant. They're designed to weaken your mind. They call it helping you because they say they're weakening your unhappy thoughts and trying to replace them with good thoughts, or at least weakening your unhappy thoughts. But all they're doing is weakening your mind so that they can make you more unhappy and you can't resist what's going on. Even if you don't believe your own unhappy thoughts anymore, like that you're being victimized and you think you're feeling better as a result, they're still picking on you. They just don't have somebody possibly willing to defend themselves against one of them, say against the bad neighbour who's being psychically evil to them. They just basically have everything in place to farm victims, because farming is how they live. You know, the place is a great big farm, or it's a great big energy farm. I don't know if anybody else is victimized besides me. Some people say they are, but then they turn out to victimize me as well. You know, I'm an innocent victim. I don't know if there are any other innocent victims. They did put me in a psychiatric hospital where there did seem to be some other innocent victims, but they succumbed to the drugs and became less pleasant. The drugs had a bad effect on them, which is what they want anyway. They don't want people to have their own mind and to be positive and happy and own their own minds and themselves. They want them to be focused on unhappy things, so they drug them and their minds get weakened. And then they start focusing again on whatever it is these people want them to focus on. They have some little private sessions with them where they focus them on something that makes them unhappy, perhaps. They spoke to me in little private sessions and just told me I was mentally ill, and I said I wasn't. And they said, well, keep taking the drugs. And it still didn't make any difference to anything. In the end, they had to let me go, and they said to me, you're much better now, so we can let you go. I was no different whatsoever. Absolutely no different. And I told them so. I've told them so, and they just say, shh, don't say that. Some of them say, don't say that, as if to say you'll get yourself in trouble if you do. They want to claim I'm better now because of them. They want to claim that they're helpful, and they want me to shut up and say they're helpful. Well, if they threaten to beat me up or kill me like they have before, I suppose I might have to. But I won't mean it. Hopefully I won't. Hopefully I won't say that, but who knows? I mean, you know, it's hard being threatened or assaulted or have people trying to kill you. Dr. Cohen acted like he was going to kill me if I didn't say I was insane. He also said that I'd never had a partner, which he made me agree to. I don't think it's anybody's business personally, but he made me agree to that. Otherwise, because he was acting like he was going to kill me otherwise. And then he told me I had to say I was insane. He said, I think you're insane, do you understand? And I had to say yes, because he was acting like he was going to kill me in a second if I didn't. So I had to say yes. If you put that together, it means he's saying that I would sleep around if I were, or I would have sex outside of marriage if I were sane. So basically, he's saying women who don't have sex outside of marriage are insane. But he's a Kohenite, which means he's a Jew. And in the Jewish community, it's traditional not to have sex outside of marriage. So Jewish women are not supposed to have sex outside of marriage. But if you're not a Jew, you're insane if you don't have sex outside of marriage. That means Western women are expected, if they want to be thought sane, they're expected to have sex outside of marriage. That's rape. That's rape of everybody who's not a Jew, basically, or who's not someone who has cultural behavior that opposes sex outside of marriage, like Muslims or something like that. And the only way I can say these things is if I betray my own privacy. This is what they do to you. They're horrible people. They're not nice people. And there's a woman who apparently has a lot of control in my life that I didn't know about until they dragged me off to the mental hospital. And her name is Kathy Hayward, and she's apparently my social worker. I didn't even know I had one. You might not know if you have one as well. You know, in the future, when they want everyone to be globalist, if you're not globalist, you may find that you too have a social worker. They're calling racism insanity these days. So if you're a nationalist, you may have a social worker without knowing about it. Seriously. And you might find yourself drugged at some point to try and stop you being racist. Just for being nationalist. I marched for Tibet for the Tibetans. Why aren't they called racist? Chinatowns are everywhere across the world. So they stick together in places, everywhere they go. Why aren't they called racist? There are French quarters everywhere. Why aren't the French racist? There are Polish quarters, Arab quarters, Jewish quarters, everywhere. Why aren't these people called racist? The only people called racist are white English-speaking white people. I think it's because we have we have the most resources, and naturally, people want them, and bad people will attack you for them. And they're attacking me as well for being actually nice, healthy, intelligent, and so on. I have good energies. Good, not bad. That's why they want them. And that's why they farm me. That's why I got that horrible letter from that man. He was actually a really horrible person. Not me. I might get upset or feel in pain sometimes because of the witchcraft I suffer from these people. But I'm not insane, and I don't deserve to lose my home because they're victimizing me. Thank you for watching. Bye.